It's book call time. As I'm sure many of you are aware, Borders Book, the big national bookstore chain, is going out of business, so they're in the process of closing all their stores. There's a Borders Books fairly close to where I live, so I went by in the past few days. All the books were very much discounted at a huge rate. I think mostly like 40 to 60%. I think there were some a little bit more, but most of the newer stuff was 40 to 50% off. So all the books were on that big of a sale. I thought I'd get a lot, so today I'll kind of go over with you all the books I got at Borders Books. First up is Z for Zachariah. It is by Robert O'Brien, and I'm going to read the back cover of all these to kind of give you an idea what they're about. Is anyone out there? Ann Burden is 16 years old and completely alone. The world as she once knew it is gone, ravaged by a nuclear war that has taken everyone from her. For the past year, she has lived in a remote valley with no evidence of any other survivors. But the smoke from a distant campfire shatters Anne's solitude. Someone else is still alive and making his way towards the valley. Who is this man? What does he want? Can he be trusted? Both excited and terrified, Anne soon realizes there may be worse things than being the last person on earth. Sounds like a very interesting book, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Next up is The Compound by Amsa Bowden. I believe that's how you pronounce the name. Eli and his family have lived in the underground compound for 6 years. The world they knew is gone. They become accustomed to their new life, accustomed but not happy. For Eli, no amount of luxury can stifle the dull routine of living in the same place with only his two sisters, only his father and mother doing the same thing day after day after day. As problems with their carefully planned existence threaten to destroy their sanctuary and their sanity, Eli can't but wonder if he'd rather take his chances outside. Eli's father built the compound to keep them safe. But are they safe or sorry? So interesting, but kind of similar theme to that one. It's something like end of the world type thing. So should be a good book. I haven't heard of this book or the authors. I'm interested to see how it turns out. The next one is Battle Royale by a Japanese author that I'm sure I'll mispronounce his name, so I'm not even going to try to mispronounce it. The reason I got this book is actually because of my YouTube friend Kaisa. She talked about this book in relation to the Hunger Games on her personal channel. I'll actually link that video below in the description box. I encourage you to check it out because she gives a really good description of this book and also the movie version of it. So here's what it's about. This novel envisions a nightmare scenario. A class of junior high school students is taken to a deserted island where, as part of a ruthless authoritarian program, they're provided arms and forced to kill until only one survivor is left standing. Criticized as violent exploitation when first published in Japan, where it became a runaway bestseller, Battle Royale is a Lord of Flies for the 21st century. So, sounds like an interesting book. I know from what Kaisa's description of the movie slash book, it sounded like a really interesting novel. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. Next up is Blackout by Connie Willis. Oxford in 2060 is a chaotic place with scores of time-traveling historians being sent into the past. Michael Davies is prepping to go to Pearl Harbor. Baroque Ward is coping with a bunch of bratty 1940 evacuees and trying to talk her thesis advisor into letting her go to VE Day. Polly Churchill's next assignment will be as a shop girl in the middle of the London Blitz. But now the time travel lab is suddenly cancelling assignments and switching around everyone's schedule. And when Michael, Marope, and Polly finally go to World War II, things just get worse. From there they face air raids, blackouts, and dive-bombing stukas, to say nothing of a growing feeling that their only assignments but the war and history itself are spiraling out of control. Because suddenly the once reliable mechanisms of time travel are showing significant glitches, and our heroes are beginning to question their most firmly held belief that no historian could possibly change the past. It sounded like an interesting book. I've read another book like this in the past by Harry Turtledove that kind of explores the same idea of time travelers going back into historical periods and do they impact history or not. And it kind of combines two of my favorite genres, being sci-fi and alternate history. So I'm interested about this one. Like I said, I never heard of this book either, or the author, but it sounded like an interesting idea, so I'm pretty excited to read this one. Next up, you have Robert Buettner, Overkill. I've read several books by Robert Buettner in the past, his Orphanage series. So here's this book. At 23, Jason Parker has completed his Legion hits, A Hero. But in 4 months, he'll have a price on his head. Worse, he's lost his past and he can't find his future. Worst of all, he has to search for them on the deadliest planet known to mankind. When he reluctantly hires on to a true-born Earthman tycoon safari to bag a deadly trophy, ex-mercenary Jason finds himself shipped out to downgraded Earth-like 476, the outpost at the end of the universe known to everyone except his tourism bureau as Dead End. But the hunt goes terribly wrong, and Jason must survive a tough, beautiful local guy who hates mercenaries, an 11-ton beast that can crush main battle tanks with one claw tied behind his back, and the return of a nightmare that has haunted Jason since birth. Jason learns that the stakes are not merely his own life, but the fate of an entire alien race. The reason I probably got this book, like I said, I read on Robert Buettner's previous series. I really enjoyed it. Robert Buettner also lives in the same area as I do, and I've met him a couple of times at events that I've helped organize. So he's a really interesting guy. So I just like him as an author, so I thought I'd give this book a try, just mainly because who the author is. Then lastly, the only non-fiction book I got was The Worst Hard Time by Timothy Egan. The dust storms that terrorized America's high plains in the darkest years of the Depression were like nothing ever seen before. In The Worst Hard Time, the Pulitzer Prize-winning New York Times journalist and author Timothy Egan tells the epic story of this environmental disaster and its impact on the communities stricken with fear and choked by dust in the dirty 30s. John Steinbeck gave voice to those who fled the Dust Bowl in his masterpiece, The Grapes of Wrath. This is the story of those who stayed and survived, those who in their 80s and 90s will soon carry their memories to the grave. It is an extraordinary story of endurance and heroism. An era that promises ever greater natural disasters, The Worst Hard Time is a powerful cautionary tale about the dangers of trifling with nature. I've actually seen a special on the History Channel that I believe was based on this specific book. I've always been kind of interested in the period of the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl, so I just thought it'd be an interesting read. Sounded really good. I wish I could have got some more nonfiction books at the sale, but the nonfiction books weren't discounted nearly as much, and they seemed to be picked over a lot more, so there weren't nearly as many nonfiction books left as fiction. So sadly, I only got one nonfiction, but it sounds like an interesting one. So that was my book haul. Sad that Borders is closing. I didn't really go there too often because there's other bookstores a lot closer to my house, but you know, somebody that loves to read, I always hate to see a bookstore close, be it an independent or a big national chain, because odds are that means fewer people are going to read, probably, because anytime if it makes it harder for somebody to go buy a book, like if this was the bookstore they went to, and now they have to drive a little bit longer to get another bookstore, they might just stop reading, and that's just a sad thing. So I hate that Borders is closing. But on that same note, go out and support your local bookstores, be it a big national chain or an independent store. Because I mean, if you don't buy books from them, they'll close, and that'll kill the publishing industry, and we won't have books. So go buy books, support your bookstores, and I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time.